Simplify the process. Monster skill tooltips. Know your best 2 stats. Boost your main stat as high as possible. Prioritize crit rate for damage dealers. Apply effect stones. Enchant your runes. And sometimes flat stats are better than percentages. Simplify. Today's video will be your ultimate guide on runes. We're going to talk about the difference in certain stats, rune sets on particular monsters, and a very simplified process on how to rune a monster. As always, if you like my videos and like my content, hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell dingy dingy thing so you know when I post a video. Let's go, baby. Alright, runes, there's a lot to talk about. There is a ton of variables. But when do you start to really farm runes? Your first goal in farming runes is at least get to stage 14. You should only farm runes if it's its bonus day. The bonus day rotates, but in stage 14 is when it starts to drop legend runes. Obviously, you want to get to stage 15, and in stage 14, the legend rune drop is smaller than 15, but that is your first goal 100%. Before we get into talking about sets and what's better on monsters and what kind of runes to level, I want to talk about 2 things. First and foremost, element attributes. You want to take this into consideration when you're building units, and it's mainly damage dealers. Now, ultimately, damage dealers, you want 100% crit. You want to crit every single basic attack, you want to crit every single skill. But just note, if you have the element advantage, not only do you get a 20% bonus damage, but you also get a 10% bonus crit rate. So in my opinion, always shoot for at least 90% crit. But don't forget, if your element attribute is countered by a stronger element, you lose 10% crit. There are monsters that increase your crit too. So if you plan on using some of these monsters, you can lower your crit and put more stats in the crit damage, attack, whatever the case may be. The other thing I want to talk about is certain stats. This is in regards to accuracy, resistance, precision, and evasion. Accuracy is all about landing debuffs, whether that's defense break, attack down, damage over time, removing buffs from the enemy, etc. Resistance is as in the word, it resists debuffs getting put on you. The higher resistance you have, the more likely they're not going to be able to strip your buffs, the more than likely they're not going to be able to put debuffs on you. Precision, this helps you land all basic attacks. Evasion is the counter to that. One more stat, and that's attack speed. Attack speed only goes towards your basic attacks. It doesn't involve cooldowns of your skills. This isn't Sky Arena. Alright, we're going to talk about really quickly a couple specific monsters to explain to you how to build these monsters. Some monsters are very self-explanatory on how to build, some are not. For example, Ellen, a free monster you get through story. If you want to figure out how to build her, you look at the skill tooltips. As you can see with every skill, her damage is based off of attack. In her instance, one of her skills is based off the target's max HP. Whenever you see target's max HP, you want to shoot for high crit damage. I mean, damage dealers, you always shoot for high crit damage, but especially with target max HP. However, you look at every single skill, and they are all based off of attack, so obviously her main stat is attack. But certain units are different. Zinc, for example, the tooltip says his damage is based just off of defense, but if you look it up, it's defense and attack. Obviously, he's meant to be a tanky warrior front line. Main stat is defense, but attack will help his damage as well. And as you see on every skill, it's the same thing, defense and attack, but obviously his basic attack is off of attack. Akamamir, his third skill is based off of attack, but as you see, his damage is based off of damage over time levels as well. So the more damage over time levels you have on the enemy, the better. He does apply his own damage over time, but if you run him with like Fire Orbia, it's even better. However, you look at his second skill, it's based off of attack, but also his max HP. First skill is just attack, so you want to build him as a bruiser, like an HP attack based monster. But because he applies electric shock, you need some accuracy too, and crit rate, and crit damage. And then there's Lyn. Lyn does damage with attack and targets max HP. Same with the second skill. However, with Lyn, you you can put her on attack speed on her second rune, because her basic attack here also does 5.7% of the target's max HP as damage. And when she's attacking a boss, the damage dealt up is 30%. Shannon, she's a support. A lot of supports and healers, stats don't benefit certain skills. She's there for the buffs, so you make her tanky, HP and defense. However, her second skill lands a lot of debuffs, so accuracy should be important to you as well when you build Shannon. Healers that recover the target's HP, you can build them on defense as a main stat. If they're a frontline healer like Tian or Konamiya, you need evasion too. Since these are two common monsters that everybody uses, Tian and Konamiya are a little bit different though, as Tian recovers target's HP, Kona heals off of his max HP. So with Kona you want to build more HP, Tian you can build more defense. Supports like Bastet and Rune that have shields, make sure to look at the tooltip. The shield is based off her max HP. Same goes with Rune, her personal shield and the shield she provides her whole team. The shield amount is based off of her max HP. Supports like Rikuni, you build tanky, but you also put on attack speed, and as much as possible. Rikuni's basic attack recovers HP of the team target with the lowest HP ratio, so the more attack speed the better, but with basic attacks, you need precision. Alright, I unequipped my Tian just for this purpose. Step number 1, check the monster's tooltip. Recovers target's HP, not of his max HP. Second skill is just a support skill. Basic attack has no gimmicky little thing to it. Then you ask yourself, is he frontline or is he in the back? So you want to make him tanky, and anyone in the front line you want a lot of evasion. So the second step is to really knowing your main stats and your secondary stats. This will determine what sets to put on your monster and what substats you're looking for. When I say looking for, you probably don't have the perfect runes yet, so the best as possible. If you could make a rune set on your monster, that is optimal. However, it's not the end all be all if you can't. Stats are greater than sets. You always want to look at your stats, and if your stats get better being off of a rune set, then don't use the rune set. Mainly what it comes down to on every single rune is what the main stat is and how good the substats are. I always start with rune 2, 4, and 6. I always try to get the set first, but if I can't, then I'll look for alternatives. Let's start with slot 2. To help ease of use, always use the filter. I want to look for a defense percent as the main property. You can also start with doing a sub property as well to really optimize. You hit apply, and these are the runes that have a defense percent main stat and an evasion substat. As you see here, I like this evasion rune, so I'm going to equip this rune, then I'm going to go to slot 4. You always want to shoot for the highest star level possible. I don't see anything with that because I want full evasion set, so I go to slot 6. Still don't see that, so what I do, I cancel the sub property, hit apply, and see what comes up now. Still nothing in slot 6. I'm going to check slot 4. Still nothing there. If you are looking for a specific rune set, don't forget to click the actual set that you're looking for, because I'm a dummy. But slot 4 and slot 6, I'm not happy with my result. So another good stat for a frontline tank is HP percent, so I'm going to do that. Hit apply, go to slot 6. I don't see anything in slot 4, so I'm going to go to slot 6. And a 5-star evasion HP percent. Substats aren't there. That's because I'm not there yet. I'm going to hit equip, and now we got to worry about that slot 4. Now, a key note, especially about 3-star monsters, and 3-star monsters only. Typically, when building a monster, you always want to shoot for a main stat that has a percentage. But with 3-star monsters, you don't need to do that technically. Because their basic stats are lower than 4-star monsters and 5-star monsters, you can look for flat stats for 3-star monsters as a main property. I'm going to check the defense first. In slot 4, I don't see anything. I'm going to go for HP now, and I do have a rune. HP main stat. The substats suck, but watch my HP here. I'm going to equip this. It's at 27,332. Now, I'm equipping this HP percent into that slot instead of the flat stat. But as you can see, this substat has HP as well as a flat stat of 1251. So yes, this specific rune is better and gives him more HP. It's a difference of 800 HP. if this flat stat rune had an HP percent as a substat, this rune would be better. Now that you got your 2, 4, 6 done, we focus on 1, 3, 5, trying for sets first. And the thing about 1, 3, and 5 slots is you don't need to max them. You can later on, but you don't get an increase in substats when you go from 12 to 15. So really 1, 3, and 5 should just be at plus 12 until you get the perfect rune. And with these slot 1, 3, and 5, just because I have a 5-star rune here, look at these substats. They're not good. An attack is not needed on Tion. So it'd be more optimal to even put in a 4-star rune, which has HP percent, HP flat, evasion, and resistance. This 4-star rune is technically better than the last for Tion. So you go through the rest of your slots, and voila, you have a monster completed. Keynote when leveling up runes. This really depends on where you are in the game. If you're a beginner and you're just getting these 1-star runes in the beginning, don't level them up. All you want to do is complete the set. Do not level 1-star runes. If you're getting 2-star runes, I still wouldn't suggest to level them up. If for some reason you're at a hard stop, you can level it to plus 3. This will give you a little bit more stats, might help you out. If you're starting to get 3-star runes, I recommend you can go them to plus 6, nothing more. If you're getting 4-star runes and they're not purple, only go to plus 9. You don't want to waste resources on these runes. When you start to get purple 4-star runes by farming 5-star elite monsters in the field and the substats are all good, then you can turn that 4-star rune into a plus 12. I'm out of sky stones. I hate sky stones. Once you start getting 5-star runes, then you can start to plus 15 them, but you need to make sure if you're gonna plus 15 it, that it has good substats, because sky stones are very scarce as you see. Now when you start getting 5-star runes, stats become more of a priority over sets. When it's 5-star runes, if you have perfect sets and perfect stats, that's more in the end game. There's so many things to talk about when building monsters. I could talk for days, but I want to make sure that we talk about damage dealers. Lyn, for example, with all damage dealers, you want to prioritize crit rate. No matter what, crit rate is way more important, unless you're running units that buff crit rate. Variables, right? But let's talk about Lyn. We want her on a Rage Blade set. Let's start out with 2. Yay, we have an attack speed, no crit rate, crappy rune. I'm going to put it on there anyway. The 4th slot, we want crit damage. Nothing in Rage. Do I have Blade? Yes, I do. It's got crit rate substat 2, which is even better. I'm going to equip it. Let's go back to Rage. It's the 4 set. Always try to make sure to get the 4 set first. Let's look for attack percent. I do have one. Yay. No crit rate sub. Ew. It's got crit damage. I'm just going to put it on there and see what I end up with stats wise. Now we're looking at the 1, 3, 5 slots. We want to prioritize crit rate because it's a damage dealer. I'm going to take off the main property, add a sub property of crit rate. I have a 17% crit rate sub rate. Yeah. These other substats blow, but I'm still going to put this on because I need to prioritize crit rate. The 3 slot, I have 2. These substats are way better than these substats for Lyn. So I'm going to put this rune on. I already have the 4 set complete. However, I'm still going to check slot 5. I might have a better rage. There's 2 here. One crit rate 4.2. The other one's 4.4. Attack speed and crit damage though. I'm going to put this on, and now I'm going to try to see if I can find a blade rune that I can substitute with one of these rage runes. I still have the crit rate sub property set. I'm going to start at 1. I don't have any runes that beat that 17% crit rate. I'm going to go to 3. This is not better. I'm going to go to 5. I have nothing here. Then you take the sub crit rate off and do the same thing. You can even look in slot 2, 4, and 6 to see if you have a better rune that way. There is an attack percent main stat for Blade with crit rate, but we're still going to check every other slot. Now this rune has 20% crit damage, but no crit rate. The old rune has 8.4% crit rate. If I substitute that, it's only a net crit rate of 4%. This rune has 8% crit rates, it's equivalent, so I would net 12% crit rate if I put this rune on. Or I can change this rune and put attack percent on its main with a substat of 4% and 12% crit rate from the set, 16% crit rate, so that's what I'm going to do. Now with this set, I'm at 70% crit rate, 145% crit damage, 2293 attack. Now me trying to be a perfectionist, these stats are really good for early game, but there's a 30% chance I'm not going to crit unless I'm facing a dark element. So the next thing you can think about for damage dealers is going full blade. First, I'm going to save this gear set just in case by clicking this preset button and saving it here. I'm going to try to put all blade on and see if I get a higher crit rate with decent stats like this. I just realized with my big head, you guys can't see my stats. I'm an idiot. As you can see, these are her old stats. These are her new stats. I prefer this over this because of her skill set. I need to find a new place to put this camera. Is it better over here? You gotta let me know where you want me. Anyways, I want to go back to my old set. So I'm gonna hit this preset button here that you didn't see before because of my big old head. And I'm gonna load it. And now I have my old stats back. Now when you get into mid game and end game, you're gonna want optimal runes with optimal substats, where all the substats are perfect, where you get max rolls and substats, but that's a whole different ball game. That's it for today's video. I hope this simplifies helping you build your monsters and ruining them. There's so much to talk about and I don't want to make this a super long video, so I had to cut things out and try to simplify it the best I can. I'm sure I missed something that is probably extremely important, but I don't like videos that are really over at like the 15-minute mark. I don't think viewers like you like that either. Simplification is best. If you did like this video, hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell dingy dingy thing. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!